It's the wrong trousers, Gromit, and they've gone wrong. Stop them, Gromit, stop them!
First, he brought us the award-winning Creature Comforts, now a second Oscar for the wrong trousers. An ingenious crime with a cunning disguise.
Good grief, it's you.
And a daring escape. Nick Park's thrilling adventure, The Wrong Trousers. Easter Monday at 6 o'clock on BBC2.
Sunday, in Honey for Tea at 7, the students are revolting.
You're undergraduates. You're expected to be pig ignorant.
And just when Henry thought it was safe to return to the kitchen,
Can't be him.
Pie in the Sky at 7:30.
Hasn't escaped from the nick, has he?
Vincent Bryan Palmer died in August 1978.
At 8:20, Nicola Paget and Peter Davison ain't misbehaving.
Why don't we go to bed?
Yes, I think I will.
I'm a seething mass of unrequited hormones.
Oh, heavens. Better have some muesli.
The Look of Sunday on BBC1.
Raby Castle in County Durham is the setting for this week's Antiques Roadshow, and as well as the usual unexpected pleasures, the winner of the tea competition. Well, that's in 25 minutes on BBC1, after a very special day in Venice.
500 years ago, merchants of the known world converged on these waterways because this was the European end of the Silk Route. Today, our journey ends here with a silk dress designed by one of Italy's leading designers and worn by an English bride.
So here we are in Venice at last. Kerry's just come from Romeo Gilli's studio in Milan, where she had the final fitting for her dress, which is going to arrive later. Steve, the bridesmaids and the rest of the wedding party are on their way, and they're going to come later. But the big day is tomorrow. Grazie. And before then, there's still a whole load of stuff to do. It's a bit special, isn't it?
There are still arrangements to be made for the reception, music to be chosen for the service, and a meeting with the minister who'll be conducting the ceremony. But first, Kerry takes me on a tour to explain why she loves Venice.
It's just one of those places where there's always something different to do. You know, open a door, and one time when you visit, that door will lead on to an art exhibition, and another time it will be full of flowers. Or, you know, there's always something different. It's very exciting.
Visually, what are the bits that attract you most? The more run down and broken down, the better. Like the buildings that are sort of 3 or 4 layers of different colour paintwork and just that general decay. Because you were talking about that when I first met you in your wedding dress, weren't you? You were saying very old colours.
Yeah, real colour that you can't quite pinpoint. And I mean, Romeo's managed to do that with the dress. It's lovely. I've tried to describe the colour to people, and even I can't think of how best to describe it. He loves Venice. He loves like the water and the quality of light that you get here.
I mean, has it been a lot of organisation getting people out here? Has it been? I mean, it's usually a headache anyway, isn't it? A wedding.
The wedding itself's been a lot of organisation. Getting the people out, no, not really, because most of our guests have done that under their own steam. But getting the reception together afterwards and things, yeah, that has been a bit tricky. And with my very poor Italian, it's a bit of a language barrier still.
Everywhere we go, there's these mask shops, aren't there? What's the significance of them in Venice?
The Italians celebrate carnival time just before Lent every year, and of all the towns in Italy, Venice is the one that goes bananas, so...
And you've incorporated them into your wedding, haven't you? Steve's been sort of busy making loads.
Very busy. We've been in the workshops, and I think we've made about 30 of them in total.
But I bet he hasn't made 2 for me and Jeff. So, maybe we should go in and choose some.
Shopping. we've done are all on sticks, so people have got the option of wearing them or not. They don't have to sort of tie them on and be stuck with them for the day.
So we're going to choose a mask for me and a mask for Jeff, aren't we?
There's one over here, look.
Right.
I think is really you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. She's even got my nose, hasn't she?
She's lovely.
Yeah, so I try. Where's the mirror? Oh, I quite like that.
I think she's lovely.
Oh.
The odd photograph would be masks on everyone, but I think for the most part people will just hold them. We're hoping to get a couple of photographs with everybody masked.
That would actually be good for those days when you just don't fancy putting any makeup on or doing your hair. I wonder what he'd look like in this one. That's it. This one. Yeah. It's kind of got that big, very Jeff smile, actually, isn't it?
It's cheeky.
Yeah. I actually think that this is the Jeff mask. It's a nice big shape. And he is a bit of a joker, really, isn't he?
This is where it's all going to be happening tomorrow, the Anglican Church of St George's. Kerry and Steve are already inside discussing the final details of the service and choosing the music with the minister, Canon James Harkins.
And then we go up into the altar, and that's where you make your vows to each other. Those vows are what makes the marriage, because actually, I don't marry you, you marry each other. I'm only there to give you the blessing of the church. You make the vows to each other, and the rings that you exchange are an outward and visible symbol of those vows which have united you.
Canon Harkins, how is it that there's an Anglican church here in the middle of Venice?
There's always been an Anglican community here since the days of the Venetian Republic. There was an embassy here under King James. Since then, there's been continual presence, except, of course, during the Second World War. But for over 100 years, we've had our own Anglican church here, which serves only English-speaking visitors, primarily from Great Britain or the United States and the Commonwealth.
So has this building seen many expatriate wedding ceremonies?
Yes, indeed, a good many. Over the years, it's a popular place to be married, of course, Venice being such a romantic city. At the moment, I'm planning weddings from Australia, the United States, from the United Kingdom, Canada, people who like to come to be married here or perhaps to have their wedding blessed after their marriage back home.
Everybody's been saying, will you be all right on the date? No problem at all.
But we've both started
and then
to
the
cry
minute she
just
started
then.
singing, I said, oh God, I forgot I cry every time I hear a woman sing.
And finally, the moment everyone's been waiting for, the arrival of the wedding dress, brought from Milan by two of Romeo Gilli's assistants who'll be staying on to help Kerry get dressed in the morning.
Buongiorno! This is the grand day. The bells are ringing. Excited? Did you sleep?
Yes.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I'm just writing the order of services out.
You're kidding. Yeah, you're so calm and collected. Would you like coffee?
I won't be when they start singing today in church.
I think it's going to be difficult today, isn't it, to sort of keep the old tears back.
I think it is.
Morning! What's going on in here?
Morning, Mandy.
Morning, girls. How are you? Oh, got your own hairdresser here this morning, have you? Hey? Is this the maids of honour and bridesmaids room, or what? Yeah. And what's this best man doing in the maids of honour room? That's what I want.
This is the best man's room.
This is the best man's room? Speech rehearsal? Have you had a rehearsal of it? No? Should we have him rehearse a bit of it, hey?
A bit about the bride and groom.
Yeah.
Quite original.
What's the bit about the bride and groom going to be?
Carry the bride, bride of the year. If there was a sister of the year contest, she'd definitely get my vote.
I mean, are there any saucy bits in there about the groom? Because, like, what normally happens?
That's why I was allowed to be best man, because I said I'd be discreet about the stag party.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened on the stag night?
Oh, he fell asleep on the street, and they found him asleep on the street.
Is this true?
I was found a couple of times in the street. Worse for wear.
I mean, is this man ready to become, you know, like a husband, I ask myself?
Oh, yeah, the hangover's gone anyway.
Just tidied up Kerry's eyebrows a little bit. That's all we've done so far. Put a little bit of moisturiser on and some lip balm. And then we're going to be going for a nice, innocent, natural glow, like the classic blushing bride. And just draw out Kerry's natural features, really.
So, Kerry, how do you feel about having makeup? Because I know you were worried, as you're not a sort of makeup girl normally.
Very, very rarely wear makeup, and when I have ever had makeup done, I've always felt it looked too heavy and, you know, sort of a real painted face. I just don't feel that I suit makeup. But having met Lee and gone through everything at Romeo's the other day, I'm quite convinced that I can get away with some. And I want it to look like me rather than me in makeup.
Okay, we're just going to put a light coating of powder on now, just to set the very sheer base I've applied. Just lightened up under the eyes a little. Nothing too heavy. There's nothing worse than a lot of concealer under the eyes because it goes crepey. I'm just touching Kerry's face with my hands, just because this warms the makeup slightly. It just helps it set into the skin. We're going to be using tawny shades and picking out some of the colours of the dress just to complement you. But really, we're just talking about washes of colour over the eyes and cheeks. Nothing particularly defined. Just curling the eyelashes at the root to give that added lift and the wide-eyed look.
Kerry, you're having your hair up, and yet you're normally nervous and reticent about that. Why have you changed on the big day?
Well, I found a picture that I fell in love with, and Steve and I both liked the picture very much, and I said, oh, if I've got to have my hair up, that is how I'd like to wear it. So I got the picture blown up and took it over to Milan with me, with the original magazine that it had come from. And it turns out when I showed Romeo Gigli the picture, that in the credits in the magazine, it's actually one of his models, one of his dresses, and it was Pier Giuseppe that did the hair in the first place, so it all worked out very well.
Io stamattina prendo moglie, ding dong scampanano per noi. Forza ragazzi, facciamo I pazzi, mi sbatterete in chiesa, poi.
I can't do the tie on somebody, so I have to do it myself.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
We normally, after a show, it's like
80 models, each one with a tie.
Yeah.
So basically the look of Romeo's ties this year is a bit different to what it had been before.
Watch the hair now.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise we're going to appear down here kind of screaming.
It's fine.
Yeah. Ah, sneaky stuff. I'm curious as to what you're going to do with the long end that you've got there. Tucked away, huh? Now you've tied a very square knot there, is that right? You're not pinching it in at all?
No.
You're tying
Just
it very square.
It's supposed to be flat.
Yeah.
Okay, the waistcoat.
So you only see the knot virtually just above the line of the waistcoat.
Exactly.
Right. This almost looks a kind of like an old Sicilian cut of waistcoat,
Exactly.
isn't it? Very high.
Yeah, really
eh?
high.
Suits the haircut.
I'm one of the family now.
Io stamattina prendo moglie, vinto scappano per noi. Con le manette, tagliato fette, mi sbattere in chiesa, vai.
Romeo's dresses always are kind of wrapping, but this is one of the longest ones around. Quanti metri? 15 metri? Sì.
It's not the sort of number you can just sling on, is it, 5 minutes before you go out?
So what do you think, Steve?
I feel ready now. I'm ready.
Yeah?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Handsome pair of legs there.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered together here in the sight of God to join together this man and this woman in holy matrimony, Stephen, wilt thou have this woman to thy wedded wife?
I will.
Carrie, wilt thou have this man to thy wedded husband?
I will.
I, Stephen, take thee, Carrie, to my wedded wife.
I, Stephen, take Carrie to my wedded wife.
To have and to hold.
To have and to hold.
From this day forward.
From this day forward.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
According to God's holy ordinance.
According to God's holy ordinance.
And thereto I give thee my troth.
And thereto I give thee my troth.
The Bride of the Year's Grand Tour of Venice ends with an informal procession across St Mark's Square. Formed from the local chamber orchestra Le Vivaldiani, named after one of the city's most famous musicians, these players are a traditional part of a Venetian wedding. Kerry and Steve, we're nearly at the end of quite a long journey that began with you writing us a letter. Has today lived up to your hopes and your expectations?
Far beyond that, hasn't
beyond.
it?
Wildly beyond. Beyond our wildest imaginations.
I was saying earlier on that just like spur of the moment, sit down and write a letter thing can just change the whole course of your life, can't it?
Who cried in the church? What made you cry, Sophie? What was that? What was so emotional?
Knowing that, you know, Mum is my proper mum now, you know, that they're married.
There'll be a new series of The Clothes Show in the autumn.
Now, this week on Do the Right Thing, we tackle the subject of sexual harassment.
What are you doing? You just can't do that!
No one's ever complained before.
Well, I'm complaining.
I'll be joined by Frank Skinner, Diane Abbott MP, and Michael Winner. Join us.
Would you do the right thing? Saturday, 8:20 on BBC1.
Food. Just food.
Just any old kind of food.
Let it be sour or let it be sweet.
As long as you're sure it's something to eat. Bring salad.
Or sausage. Or scone. A berry or even a beet.
Bring an oyster.
An egg.
Or a bone.
As long as it's something to eat.
If it's food, it's food.
Never mind what kind of food.
Through thick and through thin.
I am constantly in the mood.
For food.
Whoever said too many cooks spoil the broth? Masterchef returns.
And now at gentle speed on BBC1, the Antiques Roadshow.
This week, for the last programme in the current series of the Antiques Roadshow, we come to County Durham and to an idyllic part of Teesdale, just north of the Yorkshire border. Some 11 miles from the industrial town of Darlington, you suddenly find yourself in lush parkland, populated by herds of deer and flocks of sheep. In the midst of it, you're confronted by the grey stone buttresses of Raby Castle, our location for the day. The lake in front, a gentle reminder of its historic past as a moated fortress.
Most of us, I suspect, have a half-formed impression of what a traditional English castle should look like. An impression moulded by Walt Disney and a score of Hollywood films. Well, the magic about Raby is that that impression becomes a reality. The dream is suddenly tangible. And that's because Raby Castle is not a ruin or a relic. It's been continuously inhabited for more than 600 years.